Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the other apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rule as well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of this video is All These Are the Beginning of Sorrows. Again, all these are the beginning of sorrows, right? The beginnings of sorrows. And what is that? What's happening in the world? What we have here. The point in Matthew 24:7 or 24:6, it says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For nation shall rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places." All these are the beginning of sorrows, right? And I'm gonna get it from the top, but basically we know that we're right here at the door because of what's happening in the world. We still have to worry about Jacob's trouble, right? When all hell breaks loose, because the war to end all wars will be World War III. And the Most High is mustering the host to the battle. The nations, gathering over in the Levant region, so basically we're at the beginning of the end, right? It's all boiled down to these final moments. We have Donald Trump, the cruel Lord, in office now, doing what? Putting hell on the northern tribes. Detention camps. And they're being treated, wrong. Mishandled. Send them off to Guantanamo Bay, right? And even trying to set up foreign prisons here, right? So we can tell that we are in that time. And now, even in the news, they're talking about right with their plans that they want to talk about what? Going to war with Iran. And because of what has happened now in these, in times through strategic partnerships pursuant to Ezekiel 38, this spells World War III. So we're watching this. Here's a video on that.
Afford allow the world cannot afford allowing the Iranians to get nuclear weapons. But there's two targets that the U.S. and Israel have to look at. Take out the source of their funding, which would be their refineries. Target number two, take out their nuclear sites. Now, the Israelis have already proven they can get past their air defenses. These facilities, according to all the intelligence that is in the public domain, are deeply buried underground. That likely means they'll need bunker buster bombs, and they'll need some American support.
Fox News' Sean Hannity called for the United States to go to war with Iran, bomb Iran's oil refineries, go after its nuclear sites. We can't let Iran develop a nuclear weapon. Well, there was actually a deal in place to prevent Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. I mean, Israel didn't like the Iran nuclear deal because, it kind of robbed the Israeli government of the one reason that they were using to push the United States military to engage in a hot war with Iran. So Donald Trump came in his first term, ripped up the Iran nuclear deal, thus paving the way for Iran to enrich uranium and build a nuclear weapon. That was Donald Trump's fault. But he created an environment in which now you have boneheads like Sean Hannity called.
Hey, what does scripture say? Donald Trump came in here with no wisdom at all. Second Thessalonians, First Thessalonians 5:3. It says, First Thessalonians 5:3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So, they came in here with no wisdom at all. Donald Trump ripped up this, whatever decree letter, regarding Iran, and now, Iran went ahead and, like the lady just said, started making nukes or, enriching uranium, right, to make nukes or whatever the case may be. And now they're talking about Iran can't have nukes, but it was him that came in there and, caused them to even start doing that, because he ripped up this, whatever letter agreement documentation he had, because that's what he said he was going to come in there and reform the government, so, hey, they took a lot of stuff down, regarding like government websites. People's, complaining about different things not showing up. And even now, there's still other stuff that he talking about in the Pentagon that's being thrown out on government websites, like the Holocaust, September 11th, and other stuff. And that they said all that stuff is about the DEI, that diversity, equity, and all that stuff. So this is Isaiah 19:3. It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. Right. So Egypt is modern day Babylon the Great. Right. And it means bondage. And who are in bondage? The Israelites. Right. We're oppressed right now by the heathen. You know, and the main corporate the main person is Esau. It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. Right. So there's no more knowledge and wisdom here. Right. That's why Donald Trump came in office and what? Threw up the letter. You know, and even if they thought it was a part of their master plan, they didn't plan on, the prophecies in the Bible regarding what Yahweh Bashim Yahushua has prophesied against them, which is destruction, right? It says, and they shall seek to the idols. So this is what Babylon Great is now doing, into the charmers, into them that have familiar spirits, into the wizards. So they're trying all like hell. You know, they got things like CERN, trying to open up portals, find different demons to talk to and all of that, different spirits and stuff to get some information. And even now, their idols, AI, they're asking AI questions, Chat GPT and shit, asking Chat GPT, what's going to be the last selfie on Earth? And when we ask them that, is nuclear destruction, right? So they probably trying to offset prophecy. They probably ask Chat GPT that question every day to see if something new is happening, and it's not, right? It says, "And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of the cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them," said the Lord Yahweh, Bashmiah Shah hosts, right? And this is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is that puppet that they have put in place to rule over Babylon the Great, to be the face of these devils, right? And he's doing an excellent job of what, bringing in the end of the world, because they think this is their beginning, but this is really their end, right? The scriptures say that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of that follow, So
calling for us to risk our troops potentially, for us to spend our hard-earned tax dollars on fighting a war on behalf of Israel, a foreign government.
Yeah, and that's good. That goes to prophecy too. The scriptures say, I will remove far from you the northern army. Let me grab that. Maybe Jeremiah 51, but let me just double check. Right, so this is Slakia Joel too. This is all going towards biblical prophecy here. So it's all good. This is something that you should rejoice over if you're an Israelite, right? Because that means you're about to get Lord willing to give the hopeful elect the salvation, right? The deliverance, and then what? Have these heathen in subjection. This is Joel 2:20. It says see deliverance promise. I started at 18. Joel 2:18. Then will the Lord Yahweh be jealous for his land and pity his people. See, the Most High, just like it says in Isaiah 14. I will yet choose Israel, because that's because what we were giving to our enemies for them to oppress us, basically, for our punishment. But the Most High will turn back to us, right, as he's doing now. That's why we have what? Me speaking, the prophets and the Lord out speaking, telling you exactly what the prophecies say, and that we're the Israelites, right? And the Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, has lied, and he's the devil of the world, right? Isaiah 14:1, it says, "For the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob." So this is both tribes coming back, right? Jacob and the strangers will be the Israelite foreigners, right? And that goes on to what? Ezekiel 37, right? Take one stick for the tribe of Judah, take one stick for the tribe of Ephraim, and put them together, make them one stick. That's the nations coming together. So that's what the Most High has proposed against the nation of Israel, right? To join us back together and what? Remember us and remember his land and deliver us, right? Joel 2:18, it says, "Then will the Lord Yahweh be jealous for his land and pity his people. Yet the Lord Yahweh will answer and say unto his people, Behold, I will send you corn and wine and oil, and ye shall be satisfied therewith. And I will no more make you a reproach among the heathen." See, right now we're approaching among the heathen, but the Most High is about to show them that he's dealing with us, in a big way, by destroying them completely with nuclear destruction, right? And not the whole world, just Babylon will be utterly destroyed, completely wasted away, right? And Israel will be destroyed also, because what? They're in our land now and they have polluted it. You got things like Pink City. I've been seeing things and hearing things where people that of the LGBTQ can go there and feel safe, right? They got kosher pig, which is a abomination to eat pig. That's what's happening over in that land. Who knows what they're doing? All type of sexual deviancies and things like that. They have those underground tunnels. Yeah, so that place got to be destroyed completely, just like Babylon the Great has to be destroyed completely, right? It says Joel 2:20. It says, "But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he have done great things." See, so Esau Edom is gonna take his ass over there, because of what the JOOs, which I'm gonna get into, because the JOO, that's the war, right? That's the point. That's the trigger. These JOOs will lead Babylon the Great over there to war, right? And it's a part of their grand scheme, their master plan. That's exactly what's happening. Prophecy is, unfolding right before us. But the Northern Army will be removed. So this is good. We're happy that they eventually want to go to war with Iran or whatever the case may be. But Jacob's trouble and all that has to take place.
Government. That is what's happening right now. And by the way, if you think that the only problem here is that your resources are going to be spent on a war that we shouldn't be involved in, just keep in mind that if the United States bombs oil refineries in Iran, well, that diminishes the oil supply on the global market. China relies on Iran for their energy. And if they can't get their energy from Iran because the US has bombed their oil refineries, well, they're going to rely on what's left in the international market and find their oil elsewhere, thus limiting the supply for everyone else, increasing the cost of oil, increasing the price of gas at the gas pump, increasing.
You hear that? And that's exactly where we're at. That's exactly what's happening. Let me see what's over here. Grab this real quick. The increase of all your stuff, right? And it's like a graduating thing, right? And then boom, pretty soon it's gonna be what all missing, not there. 1621. This is start at 17. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 17. It says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? See, so that's the time that we're moving towards it, right? This is a part of Jacob's trouble. So, war is going to happen, and the JOOs are going to be the ones that lead America out to war. But before that, it's a gradualism thing where, one person might bomb one person, or just like the lady said, they might bomb an oil tanker or something like that, and now oil is going up, and now it costs more for me to try to go to gas to go to work, whatever the case may be. And then jobs might start closing down. All these things are going to be happening, right? It says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a moment. But for all these, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. So, our people are sottish, which means stupid. They're not understanding what's happening. People, which is surprising, are still talking about make America great again, or we're waiting on the better days. Basically like getting back to how things was before 2019. They're not mindful that the Most High is now visiting this place and bringing destruction upon this place. The scriptures say, measure the time diligently in itself, and when you see part of the sign pass, then you shall know it's the same time that the Most High is going to visit this place, and that's exactly what he's doing, right? So it says, behold, visual shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. See, so, things are still pretty good now. And you think you're good, but behind the scenes, people not really understanding what's going on. What? World War III, the end of the world. It says, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Because of what? All of that is coming. That's the time we're living in. Let's see what this lady talking about.
The price of everything, because obviously it's going to be more expensive to transport goods. So insult to injury, isn't that great? Unfortunately, President Trump appears to be siding with Hannity. Meanwhile, Hannity's former colleague, Tucker Carlson, is trying to keep Donald Trump from making a disastrous mistake. We're gonna get back to Tucker in just a moment, but first, let's explain what the Trump administration is up to. As we reported yesterday, the Trump administration.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so it brings me no joy to tell you that it appears like the US government is gearing up for war with Iran. This is genuinely horrifying news. But what you have to understand is everything that's been happening so far, foreign policy wise, under the second Trump administration, is no accident and is no continuation of the Biden years. So people looked at the bombing of the Houthis the other day, bombing of Yemen the other day, and they looked at that more or less as a continuation of Biden's strategy. But that's not the case. As you all know, Trump is warmongering with Panama and Greenland and Mexico and Iran and Venezuela and Somalia and Yemen and this laundry list of countries. And this is all purposeful. Let me play this here for you. This is Senator Rick Scott, and he's going to tell you this is now the mainstream Republican senator position on Iran. Listen closely to what he says here. This is very important.
Every democracy in the world has got to say, stop doing business with Iran. The only way we can do it is hopefully that we have to destroy their economy. It's horrible for the Iranian people, but it's the only way to prevent them from having a nuclear weapon. And maybe we're going to have to go in, or Israel's going to have to go in and destroy their ability to create a nuclear weapon, because they cannot have a nuclear weapon. So thank God Trump's there.
He said maybe we're going to have to go in and
All right, so whatever the case may be. So these things are happening, but once again, let's get it. Start at from 1. Sign of the return of Yahushua. It says Matthew 24:1. And Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. Read this again. And Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Because what? Yahushua is coming to throw down. The scriptures say, what is it? Let's see. Is it Obadiah? Where is Malachi? Malachi. Right here. So Malachi 1:1, it says, the burden of the word of the Lord Yahweh to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, said the Lord Yahweh. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, said the Lord Yahweh? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau. Right? Esau is still called white man. Right? And laid in mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build desolate places. So that's exactly what Esau did. You have now the revived Roman Empire that's about to be thrown down again. It says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build desolate places. This is the Lord Yahweh of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh hath indignation forever, right? Which is righteous anger. And your eyes shall see, and you shall say, the Lord Yahweh will be magnified from the border of Israel, right? Yes, so we're gonna praise and magnify the Lord Yahweh, right? Once he destroys Esau, and even now, because we know that he basically has already done it, and he's gonna show everybody. Revelation 1:7 says what? Before he comes with clouds, and every eye shall see him. So it says back over here. Verse 2, and Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, in the end of the world? And Yahushua answering said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, but there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All of these are the beginning of sorrow. See, so that's the point. Everything is heating up, because we know, pursuant to prophecy, that the least of the flock has to draw Babylon the Great out. So pretty much anything that's happening, around that is like filler, for that grand moment. This is Jeremiah 15:45. It says, therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord Yahweh. that he have taken against Babylon. See, and his purposes that he had proposed against the land of the Chaldeans, Babylon again, which is America, right? The revised Roman Empire, just like your guy Elon Musk said. It says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. See, Babylon the Great will be drawn out to World War III by the JOOs, the least of the flock, the 1948ers. See, so that's the key point right there. So pretty much what's happening now is the build up for that moment. That's why it says these are the beginnings of sorrow. But the thing is, we're gonna feel it. What is that gonna lead to? Jacob's trouble. Grab that. Jeremiah 30:6. It says Jeremiah 30:4. Oh, and these are the words that the Lord Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling and of fear and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man do travail with child, whether do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Right? Because of what? The day of the Lord, right? Total hell and tribulation. It says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it, is even in time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Right? The scriptures say out of 6 troubles, he will save us, yeah, and 7, no evil shall touch thee, because that 7th trumpet will be what? The nuclear missiles flying. But we have to go through it. We have to endure into the end, and that's here too. So I'll continue. It says, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. See, so there's stuff that we have to go through, even with these wars popping up. We have to go through what I just mentioned, Jacob's trouble, right? It says, some of us will be martyrs, get put in prisons, but some of us won't. It says, and then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. So evil shall grow upon earth, It says, and many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. See? So, there's a lot that has to take place before the end comes, which is nuclear destruction. And we have to go through it. Like I mentioned, Jacob's trouble. This is 2nd Esdras 14 and 13. It says, now therefore set thine house in order and reprove thy people. Comfort such of them as be in trouble and now renounce corruption. See, so we're coming to our people, getting their mind right and ready. The scriptures say, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. So we have to know what's going on. We're just preparing ourselves for what? The end. It says, let go from the mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of men, put off now the weak nature, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. Right? It says, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen shall happen. It says, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. What is that? Greater evils. The scriptures say, Ezekiel, 7 and 3? Behold, grab it. This is 7 and I'll start at 5. Start at 3. It says, 7 Ezekiel 7 and 3. Now is the end come upon thee, and I will send mine anger upon thee, and I will judge thee according to thy ways. It will recompense upon thee all thine abominations. And mine eye shall not spare thee, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense thy ways upon thee, and thine abomination shall be in the midst of thee. Ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh power. And evil, and only evil, behold, is come. And is come, the end is come, and watch it for thee, behold, it is come. See? So we're in those evil days. Going back over here. So, this is the time, but this is the beginning. Once again, you have to go through that. You have to endure into the end, go into Jacob's trouble. It says, so that was the point. Going over here. This is Jeremiah 15 and 1. It says, then said the Lord Yahweh unto me, through Moses and Samuel, though Moses and Samuel stood before me, yet my mind could not be toward this people. Cast them out of my sight and let them go forth. And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, such as are for death to death, and such as are for the sword to the sword, and such as are for the famine to the famine, and such as are for the captivity to captivity. See, so basically what this is the time that we're living in, going through Jacob's trouble, just how we got over here. See, in 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 17, it says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days. These are the days that we're living in now. It says the beginning of sorrows. See, we just read in Matthew, the sign of Yahushua returns, what? Famines, wars, rumors of wars, things like these, but these are the beginning of sorrows, right? So what's going to happen in the beginning of those sorrows? It says the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation, and anguish are sent for scourges for a minute, right? And not only that, what I was just getting, what else? It says Jeremiah 15:3, and I will appoint over them 4 kinds, said Lord Yahweh, the sword to slay, the dog to tear, and the fowls of the heaven, and the beasts of the earth to devour and destroy. So all hell is going to be breaking loose. What? The animals going to leave their dwelling places and be traveling in the streets. There's going to be no order. That's how Esau rolls. Order out of chaos. Bringing in chaos so we can issue in fake ass order. So this is you see, sorry, 28. This is a second Ecclesiasticus, which you can say Sirach 2, chapter 39, verse 28. It says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. So what? Jacob's trouble, which we grab. Let me get this. Let me get it again. Jeremiah 30. See, it says Jeremiah 30:5 right here. It says, for thus saith the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask me now and see whether a man do travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. So the last of that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So the elect will be saved out of it, right? That's pursuant to what Isaiah 65 in around verse 13. That's the elect will be saved out of that. But people that's not of the elect won't be. They're gonna go through what? Those dogs to tear, the beasts of the field. Daniel 12:1, it says, the time of the end, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time, and at that time that people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. See, so hey, it's going to be a time of trouble. We got to go through it, but we, the hope elect, Lord willing, Lord willing, I'm a part of that number, we're delivered from it. But 2/3 of our people is going to, die. What is that? Let me grab this real quick. The third part, 13 for the fire. Let me see. Zechariah 13:9, and I will bring the third part through the fire. I'm sorry. Zechariah 13:8 says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith Lord Yahweh, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. See, so the 2/3 of our people are going to be dying by these dogs, these birds, the beasts of the field, right? Because these are the beginning of sorrows. All hell is about to break loose because what end time prophecy is happening, right? Everything is pretty much, at the door. It says, and I will bring the third part through the fire and will refine them as silver refined and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name and I will hear them. I will say it is my people and they shall say, the Lord Yahweh is my power. Going back over here. So, Ecclesiastes chapter 39, verse 28, it says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their field lay on sore scopes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Fire and hell and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction. See? So, in even where we had it was Isaiah 19. in verse 2, it says, Isaiah 19:2, and I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian. This is American against American. And they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor. City against city and kingdom against kingdom. See, this is the time of the end, right? So this is what we're gonna have to go through before the actual end, when they go to war and drop those nuclear missiles. You know, that's that sedition among men. Let me see. Where it is. Yes, okay. Right. This is a second Ezra chapter 15, verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among them, and invading one another. And they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. See, so all hell is going to break loose. So many animals walking around, different people walking around, killing each other. Second Ezra 15. Grab this map out here. Says for many great miseries, this is second Ezra chapter 8, verse 3. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. See, that's the point, you know. So we're in that time when the beginning of sorrows and everything is at the door, you know. Iran, America, Israel, all these different individuals, you know, all the key players are aligning, you know, Russia. So Lord willing, you know, this put some fear in you and you edify from the video. I'll say shalom to those elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.